Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to All Things Division 3 Soccer with Simple Coach and Jackie. I am Simple Coach, and there she is. There's Jackie. Hey girlie. I think she's settling down. So, appreciate you tuning in. Today, I wanted to do something a little bit different. So, I generally get any number of emails over a course of a time period, and always asking me, "Hey, my son daughter is interested in playing at the Division 3 level." Asks, "Oh, this is the way they like to play," and then says, "Hey, do you have any schools to look at?" And so I decided to take a theme off of that and just say, "Hey, my personal preference around how schools play. This isn't a reflection of the school. This is if I'm going to watch a soccer game and I want to find maximum joy in what I'm watching. Generally speaking, I'll default to certain schools, right? Because I want to watch what my own sensibilities like, and rather than dislike. So, and take that for what it's worth, right? The truth of the matter is everyone, every school is unique. So are the programs that they represent. I personally, I like possession, I like position, I like space. And, I generally like playing what I call between the four corners, right? Where it doesn't matter where you are on the field, you should be playing the same way. And truth be told, there's a tremendous amount of variety out there for anyone who likes soccer or their particular styles. So I'm not saying that this is a measure of success or that these are better, best than others. I'm just saying this is what I like to watch. And some of them are no-brainers, right? Like you just sort of know that totally makes sense. So with that, I'm just going to roll out the best of the best Division 3 soccer programs. Now, before I get in trouble, I just want to reiterate what I just said, and it should be obvious. There is no methodology to this list. There is no quantifiable way in which I pick this list. This is based purely on aesthetics and the aesthetics that I like. So, like art and beauty, it's always in the eye of the beholder. So I, for one, am a big fan of Francisco Goya, the artist. But I also understand that others may be inclined or be Andy Warhol enthusiasts. Why there would be such a... I have no idea, but so be it. So this is just, again, my personal list of what I like to watch, and based on what I like to watch, what schools most exemplify that, right? And I'm sure this will still get me in trouble, but so be it. So let's start with the top women's, what I call soccer playing programs, because I like soccer, right? So first up, Messiah. And I think it's much like their male counterparts. They love the ball. They love always to be on the front foot. You, you can watch a lot about possession-based soccer from watching them play out of the back. All over the field. But I think if they get on the attack from moving the ball out of the back and making it up to the other 18, I think it's remarkable. Next up, the Christopher Newport University ladies. I was impressed back in 2021 with their championship run. I thought their control of the game, control of tempo, their ability to break out quick, and how they have almost like a switch where they could slow down the pace of a game if it suits them. And I don't think that necessarily has changed. Personnel has changed, but I think they continue to play. Obviously, Cal Lutheran is another one I was impressed with in particular this season. They're great in possession. They're poised under pressure, and I think you saw that in the national championship. And they have the ability to find open spaces for more to go on to the attack pretty quickly. And I think that suited them well. I think they're an example, too, of these schools out west that I think are much more technical or play a much more technical way. So next up, Wash U. I had the Bears winning it all, I think, between their possession of the ball, and they're pretty relentless on attack, right? They remind me a little bit on the men's side of Tufts, where they just constantly go at you, go at you, go at you, looking for the goal. And I think they were superb all season long. Probably a surprise to many. University of Paywall, University of Rochester. See, I can still like them even though they have me blocked on Twitter. They, especially this year, watching them when I could because they were traveling or they were on the road. They are dynamic on attack and rock solid on defense. They were one game away from the quarterfinals, and I think their ability to play and their ability to shut down teams, that allowed them to beat Wash U for the first time this season. So. Again, like the national champions, Cal Lutheran, another SCIAC team that really impressed me are the Sage Hens of Pomona Pitzer. They actually beat Cal Lutheran in the SCIAC tournament final. Again, think they are a very technical team and work well as a team and take advantage of space and position really well. So I was really impressed with them as well, and thought that if they don't come across Cal Lutheran in the quarters, in the second round or third round, they could go pretty far. Thought they were that talented. Again, it seems the West, right? Mary Hardin Baylor. I thought the crew could play. They're great in possession and the defensive wall. Where they seemingly struggle is on PKs, having lost to Emory in 3-0 in PKs in the first round in the NCAA. That's a tough draw, but I think this is a program that definitely works the ball on the deck. So next up, William Smith of Hobart and Smith. Great on the ball, and I thought definitely one of the elites of 2023, and they're relentless on attack as well. When they have the ball, they're really tough to deal with, and I think teams struggle with the amount of possession they have. Now, this next one I wasn't sure, but I figured I would add Hartford, newcomers to Division III. They weren't allowed, because they're new, they weren't allowed to compete for the conference tournament or the NCAAs, but man, did they have an attack. They are relentless, unforgiving in front of goal. And then when in possession, they control the ball high up into the other team's half, and their defense acts as their midfield. I think if they can keep it going, right? I don't pretend to know the rules, and I'm not going to look in it because it doesn't really interest me, but I think Hartford should be on everyone's radar for a team that could very well get to the national championship, all things being equal, and they keep progressing. And then finally on the women's side, another program that I really admire for how they play. This one's a little bit different, kind of like on the men's team. That I'm really impressed with Tufts. They have a wonderful combination of grit, coordination in the attack, and tenacity. I think they really came alive in the NCAA tournaments. And this is interesting. I think Tufts, and maybe it's just the NESCAC, I think they look different in the NESCAC than they do in the tournament. I think it's just the pressure of playing and sort of the nature of the competition. So that was my list of the top ladies programs that I enjoy watching. Like I said, I'll default to. So I'm going to move now. Let's move to the top men's soccer playing programs. Now, the first one is obvious. I've been raving about these guys for a while. I think they're a masterclass in possession and dynamic in attack. And that's St. Olaf obviously national champions. They're organized, patient, and efficient. And I think they're very difficult to contain because they have the players that can work out of really tight positions, really tight spots. Next up, Messiah. Been a long fan of Messiah. They're the best passing team, I think, in the U.S. Um, and I think they sort of nailed down their style of play um, uh, to a T, and I think it doesn't change year to year. Um, 3 years ago, when I first started watching it, I did that whole pass counting exercise. They were by far and away the most prolific passers in the game, and I think that shows where they end up. I do think they still have issues. Like again this year, I think they relied too heavily on the goal scoring prowess of Matt McDonald, but to me that's going to be a little bit of a blip. Although I think probably this upcoming year, they might find a little bit more struggles. So. Another program, obviously, this one's an obvious one too. I think Mary Washington, dominant on the ball, looking to control the game in the other team's half. They can go at you multiple ways with speed, and I do think it starts with their ball movement out of the back and through the midfield, and I think they really have honed that in. So, another revelation program to me that I was really impressed, and again out west, I don't know, is Occidental out in L.A. They're very technical, again, using possession and space. They go after opponents much more methodically and trying to take advantage of that space. And I think they gave Amherst a run for their money that they should have won in the second, third round of the NCAA's. So no, quarterfinals? No, round of 16 maybe. Can't even remember. Another program that I have nothing. I admire. Even last year when I didn't think they had it going, Connecticut College. This year they sort of went back to the way they play and looked like the 2021 national championship team. They control the ball extremely well, look for their wingers on lightning quick attacks, and I think they're one of the best, if not the best, NESCAC teams in possession. And when they play well, they're able to deal with a lot of the pressure and the press that you see very, very common in the NESCAC. Next up, another program I'm really impressed with and hoping to talk to Coach Axtell here in the next couple days. But I think the Red Dragons of SUNY Cortland, another epic season. And I thought they were one of the best soccer teams in the country. They moved the ball very well, strong defensively, always organized in attack. And you always feel like they can get at least to the final third with some confidence. And then what they do in front of goal, I think is pretty remarkable. So, SUNY Cortland. Next up, and I, again, fully confess I overlooked these guys for at the start of the season because they tied so much, but I still was really big fan of their game, is Washington College. I thought they were pretty complete, very comfortable in possession and defended as a team. The control of the ball that they have gives them the opportunity to win a number of key matchups, especially in the NCAA. I think the interesting thing is I don't think there's any one player that does it. I do think that this is probably the most complete team I think I watch. Another, maybe no surprise, Washington and Lee. One of the elite soccer teams in the country, as far as I'm concerned, year in and year out. On the ball, they can move it around you with speed and intent. They control, the tempo of the game, simply by making the other team chase, and then they take advantage of that. And they definitely have some talent that can, bury the ball and take advantage of mistakes on the other team's defense. So, This one's a little bit in transition, but I'm still a fan. Who knows, right? Kenyon. I think they started out with new coach Travis Wall, but I think they have the quality that makes it one of the best programs in the United States from a soccer playing perspective, right? I think there's equal amounts of skill and control. I think they exploit space better than any other team in the country, and I keep thinking that you have to be at 100% to beat a team like Kenyon, and Kenyon has to have an off day. I think they're that talented. Next up, this one I debated back and forth, but I thought I gotta have a representative out of the SCAC, and I just decided, there's some great soccer being played there, and I thought Colorado College, especially of this past year, sort of exemplified how well they played. I think they grew into the year. They were masterful building out of out in possession, and taking advantage of the fast breaks when it was available. And like I said, I could have easily picked the St. Thomas Trinity. Like these guys also can play, but I thought these Colorado College was particularly impressive this year. Okay, and a couple more. Coach Bianco, I think, is one of the best in the business, and is building what will be a national powerhouse in Denison. I think they've gotten even better over the last couple of years, working the ball on the ground and how they defend as a team, and actually, right, that was it last year, 2 years ago, when Denison beat Kenyon in the NCAC final, was a masterclass in defense, right? So I think they really are talented. I think from a soccer playing perspective, you can't go wrong. So, oh my gosh, I almost forgot this one. Centennial Conference Power, Johns Hopkins. They love the ball on the deck. They position themselves on the field as if it were a chess match, really exploiting space, getting behind lines. Some real interesting soccer gets played out of Baltimore. And then lastly, this one is another one that I thought was interesting, because sometimes, and I told Coach Desautel a few times, just to figure it out. I'm not this little struggle to figure out what they're trying to do, but I'm going to go with Tufts. Again, relentless on attack with speed, and they always have a mind to goal. And I almost think sometimes that works against them. I thought it worked against them against Middlebury. They have great work in the midfield. They can break through lines if you fall asleep for a moment because they'll punish you. It's funny. I think it works against them that they're so relentless, because I think sometimes the game might warrant them being a lot more patient. And I don't think they have it in them. And I think that's okay. So that's why I like watching them, because they're going breakneck speed, whether you like it or not, and whether they're winning or not. They're always going at that speed. So, all right. So that was my men's list and my ladies list. Just again, I think one of the hallmarks of these programs is that, they've consistently been good at soccer since I started watching them. And I don't think that's easy to do, considering the nature of college soccer. You're recycling players and sort of, and you're getting new players in. And, I could have easily made these lists longer, to be honest with you, because there's some really great, again, soccer playing programs out there that are on my radar. I could have added, who I was really impressed with from a soccer playing perspective, Oglethorpe. I thought I watched them play Swanee, and I thought they looked very, very good in possession on the ball, and thought they were really intentional as to how they attacked, and I really like that. North Central is another one. I mean, John Carroll, just spectacular. I could have thrown in Ohio Northern too in there. And then University of Chicago, right? They might not have had the best of years and from their standpoint, but they are still a top quality soccer program. And on the women's side, I mean, I could have included Loris, Misericordia, Case Western. I mean, these are all programs that are just exceptional when it comes to, you know, control of the ball, using space, using position, right, and trying to work the ball out of tough spots. So, but that's the nature of lists, and lists are finite as far as I'm concerned. Otherwise, I'd be here for hours. Um, so just so you know, I'm posting this as a article on D3Soccer.fans. I'm going to post it on the D3 fan boards as well. And then I'll, so if you have any comments, feel free to opine on your own list. Again, this is my own personal preference for the soccer. I'm sure yours might vary, so if you want to throw your list out there, would love to see them. You can do that below. Otherwise, we'll keep rolling. Hopefully you'll have a couple interviews here coming up in the next few days. But otherwise, thanks for tuning in. Patreon members, thanks for all the support. You guys make so much of this happen. And thanks for tuning in and watching and subscribing to the channel. Really do appreciate it. And we will talk soon.